How's it going, peeps? It is now time for the Raw results / highlights and review video. I'll go over the results, some of the highlights in my opinion, and give you guys my thoughts on the show. So it kicks off with Stephanie McMahon in the ring, and she shows some highlights of Daniel Bryan actually getting the corporate makeover. They show him getting, eating steak, they show him lifting some weights, they also show him getting a suit, and his hair is like tied up, he has a ponytail. And she introduces him, he comes out with the suit and everything, and he pretty much says he doesn't think this makeover is actually what they want or what they're looking for. He thinks what they're looking for is more like John Cena. He goes on to talk about how John Cena is an entertainer, and Daniel Bryan is a wrestler. And eventually Vince McMahon comes out, and Vince McMahon says to make the makeover complete, he needs to shave that beard. So they bring a barber chair, and he says the barber is going to be Wade Barrett. Wade Barrett comes out, and he tells Daniel Bryan, if you want to be WWE champion, you have to listen to me. And then he tells him to go to the chair, so he goes in the chair. Wade Barrett's about to, shave his beard, but Daniel Bryan headbutts him, and grabs Wade Barrett, shoves him onto the chair, and then starts shaving Wade Barrett's beard. Wade Barrett charges him, but Daniel Bryan grabs him and throws him over the barricade. And then he goes on the ramp and says he's not going to change, and he's going to win the championship the same way he's always been, and not change. And then he takes off his tie and reveals a shirt that says, "The beard is here." Pretty much the shirt looks exactly like John Cena's Champ is Here shirt, but instead it's pointing up to the beard. Anyways, after that, you have the first matchup, Rob Van Dam versus Del Rio, and a pretty good match. At the end of the match, though, actually, let me talk about, the actual matchup. In the end of the match, you had Ricardo, by the way, returning for this matchup. And Ricardo tried to help Del Rio by actually putting the bucket that he usually brings to the ring, when he's with Del Rio. He grabs the bucket, puts it like in between the top and second turnbuckle, and at some point at the end of the matchup, Del Rio gets shoved into that, and then Rob Van Dam rolls him up for the cover. 1, 2, 3, gets the victory. Rob Van Dam beats Del Rio in a non-title matchup. After that, Ricardo gets in the ring, tries to apologize to Del Rio, but Del Rio super kicks him and then starts beating him up, grabs the bucket, starts hitting him a couple times with it. He throws him out of the ring, and Ricardo takes a sick bump to the outside. Del Rio then grabs Ricardo, puts his head in between the steel steps and the steel post, and then drop kicks that into Ricardo's head. Following that, you had Cody Rhodes in the ring, and he showed some footage of what happens with Damien Sandow and his briefcase. He's in the ring because he's got a gift for Damien Sandow, which looks to be the Money in the Bank briefcase, because it's like in a bag, and the bag is basically the same form, the same shape as the briefcase, and it ends up being the briefcase. And of course, the briefcase is like, there's some water on it, and some leaves or whatever. And he calls out Damien Sandow, tells him he wants to give him the briefcase back. Damien Sandow comes out, and Sandow tells him, "I'm not falling for it. Put that briefcase down and then get out of the ring so I can go in and, take it." So Cody, puts it, on the ring, or on the mat, I should say. Gets out of the ring, and then Damien Sandow and Cody both run towards the ring, and Damien tries to snatch the briefcase, but Cody starts beating him up. And Damien Sandow retreats. Cody grabs the briefcase, opens it up, and there's a bunch of water that leaks out, and a contract, and the contract's all soggy, which is, of course, the Money in the Bank contract. And he closes the briefcase, he throws it out of the ring, and keeps the contract, and that was it for the segment. Ryback then faces off against Mark Henry, and this match was really, really short. Of course, it's a rematch from WrestleMania, and pretty much Henry tossed out Ryback out of the ring, and Ryback decided not to get back in the ring and just got himself counted out pretty much. And then backstage, you had a segment where the Belts Wins are arguing about the Total Divas show and why the ratings are high, both of them saying it's because of them. And then Eva approaches them, they talk about Natalya for a bit, and then Natalya comes up to them, and Brie or whatever says, I think it was Brie, I don't know, Brie or Nikki, one of them. Somebody says, it's a slap in the face that Natalya's on the Total Divas show, and then Natalya says, I'm pretty sure this is a slap in the face, and then she slaps Brie and leaves. Afterwards, John Cena came out for a promo. Pretty much he gave his reaction to what Daniel Bryan said there's a lot of truth to that, but also there's a lot of ignorance. So he delivers this promo, and anyways, eventually Randy interrupts, and he comes out with the Money in the Bank briefcase. He says it doesn't matter who wins at SummerSlam, because, you know, he's the Money in the Bank holder, and while John Cena might say that the champ is here, the champ is actually here, and then he holds up the Money in the Bank briefcase. Anyways, that's when the Shield's music hits. They come out, and they surround the ring, but thankfully, Daniel Bryan comes out, so it's 3-on-3, and that's when the Shield actually backs off and leaves. That's also when Brad Maddox announces that tonight, it's going to be a 6-man tag team match, Daniel Bryan, Randy, and Cena versus the Shield. Following that was Eric and Luke of the Wyatt family versus Bros Clay and Tensai Tons of Funk. Very, very short matchup, pretty much a squash match, almost. Eric and Luke win the matchup after, I believe, honestly, I think Luke won the matchup for his team, I believe. After Eric hit a clothesline on, I think it was Tensai. Then I think Luke followed it up with a running body splash, I believe, to win the matchup. After the match, Bray Wyatt comes in the ring, cuts a promo on Kane again. This time, Kane appears on the Titantron, though, and he cuts a promo on Bray Wyatt, saying at SummerSlam he's gonna find out why they call him the devil's favorite demon. And then he says his family won't be able to save him from the Ring of Fire. He then does his pyro, and that ends the segment. CM Punk then gets interviewed by Josh Matthews. He talks about Curtis Axel, pretty much compares him to Mr. Perfect, and he compares Curtis Axel and Paul Heyman to Mr. Perfect and Bobby Heenan, saying Axel doesn't have a mind of his own or whatever. And then he talks about how he's going to be Brock. Following that, it was Layla versus Caitlyn, and they show Layla explaining why she did what she did. She says it's nothing personal, she just wants more attention. And as far as the match goes, Caitlyn was about to win until AJ came out to distract Caitlyn, and that's when Layla hit a kick to the head to Caitlyn, went for the cover, and won the matchup. After that, she, skipped around the ring with AJ. Afterwards, Christian faced off against Heath Slater, and Heath Slater actually got a good amount of offense in this matchup, more than I thought he would. But, Christian ends up winning with a spear when Heath Slater was, distracted, or he wasn't distracted, but he was taking too much time taunting and, playing the imaginary guitar. He turns around, spear, Christian covers him, wins the matchup. Following that match, it was time for CM Punk versus Curtis Axel. Paul Heyman came out with Curtis Axel, as always, and this time CM Punk got out of the ring and went right after Paul Heyman when they didn't even, get to the ring yet. They were still on the stage. Paul Heyman goes to the back, and CM Punk starts fighting with Curtis Axel. He punches Curtis Axel, and then tries to go backstage to go after Paul Heyman, but Curtis Axel stops him. They get back in the ring, or actually CM Punk puts Curtis Axel back in the ring. Ref starts the matchup, and they go ahead with the matchup. Good match for the short time it got. And towards the end, Paul Heyman came back in the matchup. That distracted CM Punk a couple times. At one point in the matchup, CM Punk got out of the ring to go after Paul Heyman, but Paul Heyman ran away from CM Punk. Curtis Axel slid out of the ring and clotheslined CM Punk. And in the end of the match, you had Paul Heyman close to the ring. He's on the outside, but he's close, and CM Punk grabs him by the tie, and then the referee or whatever, they ring the bell, so I'm not sure what it is, if it's a disqualification. I'm assuming it's a no contest, though. The bell rings, and CM Punk grabs Paul Heyman, gets him in the ring, and he's got him in his hands right now. And that's when Brock Lesnar's music hits. Lesnar comes out, goes in the ring, and him and CM Punk fight it out. It goes to the outside, and CM Punk actually gets a couple hits in. He hits Brock Lesnar a couple times with some kicks, climbs up the turnbuckle, not the turnbuckle, I mean the announcer's table, jumps onto Brock Lesnar with a clothesline, takes him down, and he's got the advantage until he takes a bit of time, and that's when Brock Lesnar hits him with a belly-to-belly suplex. He then puts CM Punk back in the ring, and I believe he had a chair at this point. He goes back in the ring. He went for an F5, but CM Punk got out of the way. He, dodged the F5, countered it, and I believe he hit Brock Lesnar with the steel chair. Yeah, he hit him in the back with the steel chair, and that's when he directed himself to Paul Heyman, and he was gonna hit Paul Heyman with the steel chair, but Brock Lesnar gets up, turns CM Punk around, hits the F5, and then hits CM Punk with a couple steel chair shots to the back, and that was it. And then after that, you had an interview backstage with Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar, and Curtis Axel. And something funny happened in this interview. Lesnar said something funny. He actually talked this time. He talked about how CM Punk is the best and the best of the best in the world, but he's the beast and the best. And then he says, he kind of points to Paul Heyman with his head and says, "Paul, say something stupid." And that's actually when I laughed. But anyways, Paul Heyman talks, and he actually challenges CM Punk to a fight next week. He says, after what Brock Lesnar just did to CM Punk, he doesn't think, he thinks CM Punk is pretty damaged or whatever. So he's going to challenge CM Punk to a one-on-one matchup. Not actually a match, he said a fight. A one-on-one fight, man-to-man, just Paul Heyman versus CM Punk next week. Afterwards, it was Fandango coming out for a matchup against a returning Kofi Kingston, actually. And now he's wearing tights instead of trunks. Anyways, as far as the matchup, it was a pretty short match. I didn't know who was going to win. It was, I'd say, unpredictable. I wasn't sure if Kofi was going to win or Fandango. At some point, I actually thought Fandango was going to win when he rolled up Kofi and put his, legs on the ropes. But actually, Kofi kicked out. In the end, Kofi hits Trouble in Paradise for the victory. And after that match, backstage, you have Stephanie McMahon, or actually Triple H, talking on the phone. And then Stephanie McMahon comes up to him and she's crying. So Triple H hangs up the phone, tells her what's wrong, and she says, Vince McMahon was just, yelling at her or whatever, and, he's pissed and he's embarrassed at what Daniel Bryan did earlier today with the whole shaving thing, shaving Barrett and stuff like that. And Triple H says he's tired of this, and, he says whatever Vince McMahon is going to do at SummerSlam, he has a feeling Vince McMahon's going to do something at SummerSlam. He says whatever Vince McMahon is going to do, he's going to stop him. And then the following match was the Real Americans, Antonio Cesaro and Jack Swagger versus the Usos. For the match, Zeb Coulter cut a promo. As far as who won the matchup, in the end, one of the Usos and Antonio Cesaro were the legal, men. And Antonio Cesaro grabbed them, shoved them, or threw him, towards the ropes, and that Jack Swagger was right on the outside, so Jack Swagger punches him, and the referee was distracted by Zeb Coulter, who was, talking to him. So then Antonio Cesaro grabs him, hits the neutralizer for the victory. And then Dolph Ziggler faced off against Biggie Langston. In the beginning of the matchup, Dolph had the advantage, using his speed to his advantage. And then, towards the end of the match, AJ comes in. She, comes out. And then Kaylee comes out, too. And she starts fighting with AJ. They actually start fighting inside the ring, and that's when that causes a distraction for Dolph Ziggler. He then turns around, Biggie Langston clotheslines him, grabs him, hits the big ending, wins the match up. And then came time for the main event, The Shield versus Randy, Daniel Bryan, and John Cena. John Cena, I believe, actually didn't get tagged in at all in the matchup. In the beginning, it was Randy in the match, and then Daniel Bryan got tagged in. And Daniel Bryan tried to, tag John Cena in or Randy, but the referee didn't see it because he was distracted by, I believe, Ambrose. And because he was distracted, he didn't see the tag. He didn't see Daniel Bryan tagging John Cena, so when he saw John Cena in the ring, he told him to get back in the corner. Anyways, despite John Cena not getting tagged in, and despite Bryan still remaining in the ring, he managed to lock on, well, actually, before he did, at some point, Daniel Bryan accidentally bumps into Randy, which caused Randy to fall off the apron and onto the floor. And then Daniel Bryan managed to lock on the Yes Lock on Seth Rollins. That's when Ambrose and Reigns came in the ring and attacked Daniel Bryan, and they called it a disqualification. So the bell rings, and then Randy actually comes behind Daniel Bryan and RKO's him because of Daniel Bryan accidentally bumping into him. And John Cena stares at Randy for a bit, and he's not sure if Randy's thinking about attacking him too. But there's still a One Shield member in the ring, so Randy and John Cena team up to take him out of the ring. and that's actually when Randy decides to RKO John Cena as well. And then Randy looks, at the ring. You've got Daniel Bryan down, John Cena down. He gets out of the ring, grabs his briefcase, looks like he's about to cash in, but then he sees that the Shield is coming back. So he backs off, and the Shield go back in the ring. Randy just, goes on his way, and the Shield start attacking Daniel Bryan and Daniel Bryan and John Cena, and they end up powerbombing or triple powerbombing Daniel Bryan. So that pretty much ends it. You have Randy, at the stage with his Money in the Bank briefcase, staring down the Shields, and he didn't help Daniel Bryan. So that was pretty much it for Raw. What did I think about it? Some highlights. The Brock Lesnar CM Punk fights. I really like that segment. And Brock Lesnar actually telling Paul Heyman to say something stupid, but yeah, the Brock Lesnar attack, brawl with CM Punk, and also the Brock Lesnar segment of backstage, or interview backstage. We haven't heard Brock Lesnar talk in an interview or in a microphone since the feud with John Cena. Since then, because that was when he didn't have Paul Heyman with him yet, since his return. But yeah, just the Brock Lesnar segments, I'd say, were the highlights of the show. And also, it seems like Bray Wyatt and Kane are going to face off in an Inferno match. I'm not sure if the new name for an Inferno match is now Ring of Fire, but that's when Kane referred it to, if he's even talking about that, which I'm pretty sure he is. And also, now that Big E, Langston, and Dolph have faced off more than once, and actually this time you had a winner where Big E won by pinfall, I don't think they're going to have a rematch at SummerSlam anymore. If they are going to have a match, I definitely don't think it's just going to be Dolph versus Big E Langston. But anyways, going back to my review of Raw, a rating, I would give tonight's show actually a 6.5 to 7 on 10. And that is it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, as always, you can click that like button down below. I'd really appreciate it. With that said, I'm out, guys. See ya.